In the last installment, we taught the upper board to listen for the events that the lower board's rightmost button is sending to light its light. So that when I push this, that upper red light lights, and when I let it goes off. Now that's not particularly interesting. That could be done by a piece of wire. Let's try a few other things. Let's say that I want that same button to turn the second LED on the upper board the other way. I want it to go off when the button is pressed and on when the button is not pressed. Well, we can use the same operation, just getting the events slightly different. So I want to teach, so I'll start with the blue button. And I've pushed it enough times that I'm teaching the off edge. Yellow to say, yeah, that's the one I want. We go down here and we push gold to say I want to teach a specific source of that event. Blue once. That's going to be the button down here on this first button. And even though that's already driving an LED up here, that's okay. I'm just teaching this second LED what it needs to know. It doesn't need to know, it doesn't care that other LEDs are also listening to this. So push gold and now it's got it. Well, turning the LED off isn't particularly interesting because I don't have any way of turning it on. So now let's teach it about coming on. There's its on edge, see that it's lit, ready to be taught. And I want this to be on the off of the push button. Gold to teach. Select one. No, that's the on of the push button. There's the off. We'll teach that. And so now that second one is working opposite. Now it's important to know in a producer-consumer system like this one that you can teach in the other direction too. You can teach a light to do what that other light is doing. So now we're going to teach the third light to behave exactly like the first light. Why would you do that? Well, you might have a bunch of buttons on your layout that do various things, and you want them to control one more motor or one more light or turn on one more building. And you don't want to have to go back and reprogram all the buttons. I just want to say, let's make this third light do exactly what the first light is doing. Well, I have to teach the third light. That's teaching on to the third light. Yeah, that's what I want to do. And I want to teach it from on of the first light. And I want to teach off of the third light. There's off of the third light. And I want to teach that from off of the first light. And now, if I got all my buttons pushed right, those will go together. Notice that I could do that entirely here. And now let's say I want one more button to drive this. We're going to program the second button down here to make all this stuff happen. Well, that button has to learn what to send. Where could it learn that? It could learn it from this button, or it could learn it from any of these lights. Let's learn it from the button so that we can do it here down on this board all by itself. I'm going to click blue 3 times. That's the down of this second button. Yeah, that's what I want to teach. Yellow to go into teaching mode. 1 click here to say I want to teach from the down of that button. Let's send it. And I have to do the other edge too, just to get everything to work. There we go. Now I'm learning what to do when you come up. Teach what I do when I come up on this first button. We do it, and now second button does exactly the same thing. It's easy to add extra boards, extra controls, or extra things being controlled to one of these OpenLCB systems. You don't have to know any of the numbers. You never have to keep track of any of the event numbers, because it's always just, I want this to control that. I want this button to work like that button. I want this light to work like that light. Or I want this button to control that light. You can even teach a button what the light wants to do. Originally, in the prior installment, we used the events that were here to program this light. But if we wanted to, for example, drive that light there from this button, we can teach this button. So we'll start by saying the first thing I want to do is to teach that buttons down. Blue, remember it. And I'm going to teach it what this light does. And for all I know, this light could be being controlled by some computer or something like that. It doesn't matter. I just want to teach it what that light needs to be controlled. So I'm going to have to push the blue a couple of times to get around to controlling that one, because it's the fourth one in. But there it is. And now my first button lights that one. Meanwhile, my second button is doing all this stuff just fine. You'll notice actually that the down of that first button hasn't been programmed. It's not turning this off, and up here it actually changed some of those. I haven't done that yet, but I can run it just the same way. Say I want to teach the down part. There we go. Getting it ready to program. Yellow to go into program mode. And off for that light. Send it. Blue blinked down here a couple times. And now she's working.